What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Redbeard Outdoors Podcast. I'm Jonathan, your host. Today, we've got an outstanding guest for you guys. And for you Western guys, which I'm assuming most of you guys that listen to the podcast are Western because I'm out here in Utah. But we have Curt Geier, who is the founder of Working Class Bowhunters, the Working Class Bowhunters Podcast, WCB. You may have seen it around. It's a green symbol. He's got it right there on his hoodie. If you're watching this on the YouTube video, of an antler and a podcast mic. It's a great podcast where you can go and just think a bunch of guys shooting the crap around a podcast mic and just enjoying talking about hunting. And a bunch of other things too. You guys dive into other subjects as well. But we're going to get into a bunch of things today with Curt. I've met him briefly. We've had brief interactions. I love what he's doing again with the podcast and out there. But we're going to get into some maybe some controversial things, Western hunters versus Eastern and Midwestern guys, things that he's gotten feedback on because his audience is obviously a lot larger than mine. He's been doing this for a while now. So anyway, we run in the same circles. I wanted Curt on here so we could talk whitetails and what he does. But with that being said, Curt, who are you for people that don't know who you are?
Well, thanks for having me, first of all. And yeah, I run WCB podcast. We've been going for just over 10 years now. We started early 2015. We've never missed an episode. So we're chipping away, man, just having a good time. And WCB was not meant to be like a full-time gig or anything like that, or just what it just kind of evolved into that over the years, and just staying after it with good friends and somewhat of a good work ethic. But our whole goal really is to be entertainment for hunters, because, you know, we're not the tip and tactics podcast. You can get that from us, but we're for the entertainment side of it too. Like if you can get both and laugh and forget about the everyday hustle of your day job or whatever, and turning on WCB podcast during your work day to get you till the bell rings, you can go hunt. That's our goal, is to have fun, entertain the working class guys and gals out there that are working so they can get to their weekend or after to go hunting or whatever. So that's our main goal with it. And we've, I feel like, done a pretty good job at sticking with it. And fun is always our number one priority. So
That's awesome.
We've been doing that for 10 years. I'm from like West Central Illinois, and born and raised in Illinois. Grew up hunting on the whitetail scene. And then obviously with the growth of WCB, you got to experience some Western hunts and some other, you know, I've been to South Africa and Canada and Mexico and stuff like that, and made good friends all over the country and all over the world now, which is crazy. Very fortunate though to be where we're at, and we're just having a good time, man. That's the quick, in a nutshell, that's WCB and what I'm doing with it.
I do want to remind you, we are giving away a 65 millimeter spotting scope from Leupold. No purchase necessary to get entered, none whatsoever. Simply subscribe, drop a comment down below on this conversation, any questions you may have throughout the conversation, and use the link, get entered so that I can know how to contact you. We will be doing a live giveaway on that when we hit 6,000 subscribers. So no purchase necessary. Win an amazing spotting scope worth about $1,000. You are going to love it. It's amazingly clear glass, their new Gen 2 model. Really excited about that, and grateful to Leupold for giving that. No, for sure. And you know, it's funny because when you think bow hunter, hunters in general, but especially bow hunters, you think working class dude, you think blue collar guy.
Mm-hmm.
That definitely lines up with, you know, from what I understand, your trade craft before this became full time. But also, there's something recently that you guys have hit on, or maybe it wasn't recent, within the last couple months, of mental health as well,
Mm-hmm.
and what getting into the woods means for you. You know, I've had people on that are from the veteran scene that talk about it and how that's helped. But also, I mean, as a man, you know, you want to preside in your home. If you're a single guy, you know, you want to get better. You're constantly competing with, whether it be yourself or coworkers, whether consciously or subconsciously, you're always trying to get better.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just kind of in our DNA. And so, you know, you talking about mental health was definitely a big thing as well. Recently, I'd recommend anyone that can go and tune into that podcast. Do you remember what that one was called?
Man, I don't. That's
Okay.
I know I did some intros talking about mental health and stuff like that, and talk with some guests where we bring it up, but it's real, man. You know, like the weight of work and family and responsibility and all the stuff. And, that's part of the reason why I always say like fun's our number one priority. And it's like, it's funny how we just have a good time. We want to laugh. Like we want to make you laugh. And if you can learn something, that's great too. If we want to make you think and laugh through controversy, there's a lot of sarcasm on WCB. There's a lot of satire. That type of humor is funny to us. That's kind of how our friend group rolls. And that's our friend group is WCB. I think that's good. You know, if a guy's at work and he's miserable at work and his wife sucks and everybody sucks around him and he's just in a slump, if we can make his day better by making him laugh while he's running welds or whatever, we win. That's a win. So, but yeah, you know, that's the type of person we're thinking about. And, you know, I personally struggle with it, in waves and all that too. So, I kind of try to operate as like what you see is what you get with me. I'm very forward and direct. If I'm feeling something or thinking something, we talk about it. And I think that's kind of what's, created our like niche, or I guess some attraction to us, is because we're always just talking about like what's actually going on. I feel like we're one of the most transparent brands in the industry, really. And the way I can back that up is be like, well, every week of everything we've done for the past 10 years is literally recorded. It'd be pretty hard for us to hide stuff, you know, especially being the way we are.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to assume you're not running for politics then, because you understand that things are recorded and people can go back and find stuff.
I ruined any chance of a political career, and then I tell my boys there, I'm like, and I've also ruined all of your guys' chances of any type of political career. Not running for office for anything. Maybe the mayor of New Windsor one day, but nothing major. That's awesome. A good point. That's screwed.
Awesome. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, everything's recorded. It's been put out there. No, but in reality, like I think a lot of people do tune into those kind of podcasts. Even it's funny because even my son, who's 10, he doesn't ask for music anymore when he gets in the truck. He asks for a podcast or an audiobook. Yeah, and I'm like, cool. The other day it kind of hit me. I'm like, man, I want to jam. I want to go and listen to some, Linkin Park or something like that. Like what I used to do on road trips with my dad. Nickelback. People are going to hate that, but I want to turn that on. And he's like, no, I want to listen to this or this podcast or this story. I'm like, man, it's so interesting. But it is kind of the way, you get to engage in a conversation. It does spark things, with him. When it's not an audiobook, it's a podcast. I'll pause it. We'll have a conversation about a topic that maybe came up, in cool. that, so even at 10 years old, he recognizes that podcasts and audiobooks are kind of a good thing to do when you're driving, not just music.
Totally. That's really interesting, actually, because, I never thought about that. And I'm sure my kids will be the same, just kind of the change of it all. But, like we've been doing it long enough. I talk about this a lot whenever I'm on podcasts. Like when we would do like our first handful of consumer shows, we promoted more what a podcast was. And then by the time we got that across, the person we were telling what a podcast, they didn't give a shit about what we were at that point. Like it was just too much to plug. Like, what is a podcast? And then what are you? So, so it's crazy that it went from that to now it's like, oh, do you listen on Spotify? Or are you guys on Spotify? I'm like, we're on everything. Cool. I'll look it up. Now you have to be like, all right, your phone has the podcast app on it if you have an iPhone. And so it's just crazy how this media outlet has changed in 10 years, a little over 10 years.
Oh, for sure. And the other thing that's cool too about what you guys have going on is you've got a group of guys that, people can relate to. Maybe they don't relate to you as much as they do someone else in the group, but they'll come back because they want to hear so-and-so's perspective on that situation. And you've had some great guests on as well, on your podcast, which is cool. But let's kind of wind back to where it all started. Why did you decide to put a microphone in front of your face and talk to it? Like what, why did you start, WCB?
So at the time when I started it would have been like mid 2014. I worked for a company where I was, running an excavator for part of the day. And then the second half of the day was shoveling rock and sand and working on conveyor belts and tunnels and stuff. At the time, it was the best paying job I had, but I quickly realized how much it sucked and how it was actually underpaid. And I was kind of probably going through a tough time mentally and just kind of developing as a adult. And I spent a lot of time listening to a morning show out here called Dwyer Michaels. It's a great morning show, kind of podcast format. And then I'd listen to JRE and some other podcasts. And I remember being really into the podcast at the time, helping them get, I'm like, man, if I listen to 2 or 3 Joe Rogan episodes, that's a work day. Like I could just, if I can keep that in my ear, I'm not thinking about how much this sucks and how much I want to be at home. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm like, I really like hunting. I kind of did some internet hunting film project stuff with some other people at the time. And I got out of that. I'm like, there's got to be a good hunting podcast that I could really get into. So I looked them up and I was like, oh, there's not. There was a couple, but nothing that I was like, those are my guys, Mm-hmm. So I'm like, well, I wonder, since I'm trying to do like this hunting video stuff and I don't really care for that as much, if I started a podcast and did it the way I would want to listen to it, like would people catch on to it? And I hem-hawed on it, hem-hawed it through hunting season of 2014. And then after hunting season in March, I'm like, all right, we're going to do it. And then a few weeks into doing it, Eric joined, who's now co-owner of WCB with me, my business partner. And we just over time developed and kind of have our core crew of what we have now over just hustling through it every week. But that's originally how it started. And I remember sitting in basically we started in a closet in my old house. It was like this little tiny room. And I remember feeling so conceited that like, oh, I'm going to record my voice and so people can listen to it. It just felt so stupid for a long time. So
yeah,
that's how it started.
Have you, well, and with that, it's funny you say that, because I'm sure you enjoy conversations with people.
Yeah.
But talking to a microphone, yeah, sometimes, yeah, yeah, you're right. It depends on the people, but like you're not an introvert in situations where you're around people that either want to speak to you or that you're in a group of friends that you enjoy talking. You're not the quiet one per se.
No,
yeah.
Maybe.
So with putting a microphone in front of your face and just talking to the nether, how awkward was that to get started?
Oh, it's the worst. Well, one, you got to find, I don't know. It's not, I can't compare it to being a musician, but you kind of like find your vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Like, cause you don't know how it's going to be. Cause it's weird. It's like, I remember sitting there with my buddy, the first couple, and we hit the button and it's like, hey, Steve, we're on, like just how everybody starts their podcast and how 90% of them are today. They're unlistenable. Mm-hmm. Because right away it's like, oh man, we're just chilling. All right, hit the button and everybody gets all tight and awkward. It's like, don't do that.
Yeah,
just be who you are.
Yep.
That's, people are going to listen or they won't. But if you're just who you are, you can never slip up and trying to pretend to be something that you're not. So if you're just always who you are, it's just easy at that point. So it took a little bit to kind of like find that. It's basically just getting comfortable is what it was. And being able to take direction and avoid dead air and stuff like that. And just be interesting to a point,
Mm-hmm.
And natural at the same time. So yeah, it was tough. It was tough to find like the flow of it.
Yeah. And you were solo to begin with.
My buddy Steve was on the first handful with me. He came from like a comedy background. He had a comedy podcast, was just getting into hunting. Great dude, still friends with him today. He's not on the podcast anymore, but he was around for a lot, probably 300 some episodes or so.
Wow.
He does a Patreon series monthly for us now. That's just like, he's a crazy guy. Love him to death. He's crazy. Like he didn't fit where WCB was heading as far as like a hunting standpoint. He likes to hunt, but he'd rather make jokes about boobs and other stuff and hunt camp. I said that as nice as I could.
Yeah, right. No, I get what you're saying. So I could say that it's probably, I mean, it's different because you have two people, so you're both trying to get comfortable with it. He'd come from a podcast, so it probably helped a little bit as well. I just remember the first, I don't know, probably it was before I hit number 10, but my buddy was kind enough to listen to him, and he would text me. He's like, dude, finally, like after one of them, he finally was like, you either need to figure it out. Like, you don't sound like you. You're very monotone. Like, he's like, figure it out or quit. One of the two, because this ain't going nowhere.
Yeah. So you probably got all tightened up and like.
Yeah. Well, it's weird talking like I don't like I'll talk in front of a crowd. I love speaking. Give me a topic and I'll run with it. I'll feed off the crowd if it's in that environment. Being Mormon, you get up, or LDS is the official term. Everyone knows Mormon though. I get up and I've given talks, borne my testimony in front of, since I was, I don't even 5, 6, whatever. I don't have an issue with that, but looking at a blank screen and having a microphone and not having people to feed off of, read their reactions, things like that. Man, it was so awkward. And I was just like, I hate hearing my own voice. And I feel, like you said, kind of conceited of like, oh yeah, I'm putting a microphone in front of my face and now you need to listen to me. Kind of, it's like, no, it didn't feel right.
It's very weird. I'm glad that, like, because how long have you been doing this podcast?
I think, I don't know. I'm over 400 episodes though.
So yeah, you've been around a while. So it's a good thing. It'd be weirder starting one right now because of all the video capabilities. So you not only sound dumb, you look dumb while you're trying to figure it out. And so I'm just glad at the time when we started, there wasn't like, it was minimal accessibility at the time for us to have our growing pains to where it is now. Does that make sense? Kind of.
Yeah. And dude, I put one out one time that he texted me. I was in the gym early in the morning and it had, I'd scheduled it to post, and he's like, dude, there's no audio. I was like, oh man. So like all of that crap, you figure that out. But eventually just got to the point where, before I was having guests on, where I was like, I just pictured the crowd that I was speaking to, the people. And the very next episode, he texted me and was like, dude, whatever you did, keep doing it, because now you sound like you now. And so I was like, okay, cool. So
it helps to get feedback from people like, man, I enjoyed that episode. That was funny when you said this, or I really like that part. Cause then you can kind of like imagine them listening. I think it's probably what you're getting at. Like, you're like, oh, okay, now there's a little momentum, a little motivator. At least one dude's listening besides your mom.
Yeah.
And like, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
Yeah, totally.
And also don't get butthurt. Have friends that you can take that harsh feedback of, hey, you either need to change something or quit. Like, and not get butthurt, but realize he's trying to help you not get embarrassed in the future.
Totally. Yeah. Those are good people to have. And two, I want to add, anybody listening or watching, if you tune into WCB, we are rated R. It's explicit language. We are for the kind of roughneck type guys and gals, the working class people. We are not a kids show. Now there is kids that listen. I'm not their parents. That's fine. But just know that, like, we know we're not for everybody, but we're not supposed to be for everybody. So pre-warned.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
So yeah, exactly. You're very open about it as well. And that's okay, because again, you're finding that you're not trying to put it out there for the masses. You're putting it out there for a very, I wouldn't even say super niche, but definitely a niche individual, the working class guy that likes to go hunting kind of deal and likes to sit around and BS with the guys and, whatever. So, that's how you got started. And then I guess, how long have you been hunting? What's your kind of background with that? When did you start?
I've been hunting since I was right around 10 years old here in Illinois. Started firearm season, shotguns, muzzleloaders. And then a couple of years started bow hunting. So I've been bow hunting, I think, since I was 12 or 13, and just been after it hard ever since. Killed my first buck with a bow when I was 15 on my own, and just never let off the throttle, man. So it's been every year. It's been an obsession since then, and even a little before. And literally, it's just every season we've just hit it hard. So
yeah. Well, I kind of want to dive into whitetail hunting a little bit, because we were talking before we got on here about a lot of Western guys may not know about you guys, and I do feel that it's funny because there's always these rifts that are kind of self-imposed for some reason, going back to the male ego always trying to compete, whether consciously or subconsciously. Sig versus Glock, Hoyt versus Matthews. Like, there's always something. Western hunters versus Eastern and Midwest guys. There's always something.
What tribe are you a part of? That's
but I will say there is definitely a difference between turkey hunters and elk hunters. They are not the same, guys.
Yeah.
People that say turkey hunting is like elk hunting, well, that's a whole nother conversation.
I've killed a lot of turkeys. I have not killed a lot of elk. It is not.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Just because they can talk back to you doesn't mean
Mhm.
that it's the same animal. But
Yeah, that's
no,
where it
in all
starts and
reality,
ends.
though, like there's always these stupid. They're just stupid riffs that tear people apart. And you guys have dealt with either some backlash or maybe even people that just don't tune in because they don't respect whitetail hunting. And I'll tell you, after putting miles on in the mountains, elk, mule deer, eventually more bear hunting. Going and sitting in a tree stand, and even if it is over a pile of corn for me because I'm helping someone cull does because they don't have enough land to sustain these does,
Mhm.
that was fun.
Yeah.
That was fun
Yeah.
for me. And let alone the people that, and I'm sure you guys get into this, but essentially play chess with these bucks,
Mhm.
learn the land, food plots, and then the people that go way into it and they don't shoot a deer for 2-3 years because they're so hyper focused on growing one buck. And then the constant pressure of the neighbors might shoot it during gun season. And then did he survive the winter? And all of this stuff, I'm like, man, I just want to go out in the mountains and find an animal. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
There's a lot
know?
more factors that play into like the whitetail
Mhm.
world, but I think this is how I always compare things. If you're an avid hunter and you're good at hunting, you will look at all types of species of hunting in different regions and respect it to a certain point. And I'll use my buddy Devin Leonard. He's from Salt Lake. One of the best hunters I know is the mule deer king out there. Like, great dude. I don't know if you know Devin or not, but a, a
I
lot
know
of
his
people,
name. I don't know
yeah,
him personally.
he's known in Utah. Great dude, most humble guy. I always joke around. He's the best person from Utah. I always say that as a joke. He's one of my best buddies. You're great too. You're second best. We'll say that. Okay?
I'm second best friend.
And he comes out
Wait, how
here
many wives does he have? No kidding. Okay.
30 or something. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
He's FLDS, so I don't know. I think that's the bad one.
Oh, he is?
No,
I was gonna say he probably lives up the road from me in all those condemned houses that have all the kids running around.
no, he's not. He's not. He messes with me though. That's a story for another podcast.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
had me really believing it one time, but like he's a good example because he comes out and shares hunting camp with us and stays out here with us, and he really indulges in the whitetail culture. Like, but he didn't look at it from a spot of judgment. Like, you're just going to sit in a tree and put out corn, which we can't put out corn in our state at all. No form of supplemental feed in or
Yeah.
out of season in Illinois. But he understands. Like, I'm going to come out. I want to get one. And then I want to come back and get more into it and be more calculated and hold out and try and play chess with one and get ahead of one and pattern one, see what we can do. So I think a lot of people from the West have never done it that might be a little more closed-minded, see whitetails as easy and fat and lazy. We are a little fatter out here because we don't got to, we all know why, in Casey's gas stations, but it's what level of the game you're at. Like, if I'm coming to Utah and I'm going to kill a mule deer, if I've never killed a mule deer, my goal is to have a good hunt and kill a good representation of a mule deer. The next time I go, I might try and be a little more strategic, go on some scouting trips, map some things out, try to get on a bigger deer, a little more strategy, a little more effort, a little more involvement. Just like any type of hunting, big animals in any type of hunting are going to be harder to kill. We all know that. And I know that because I've shot a lot of animals. I've hunted a lot of different things. So if someone's like super judgy of it, to me, they're not very versed in hunting. You can see that. And they don't appreciate what it is. But we're to the point with WCB, we've killed a lot of great deer in the last few years with our crew and had some great seasons. Like, I had my best season ever last year for whitetails, and it came with a lot of scouting and preparation and thought and trying to get ahead of deer. And it's a lot of effort, to kill a lot of big deer in the Midwest, a lot of mobile hunting and strategy and just mapping it out. Same way you would on an elk or mule deer, but different methods of take. So it's what it is. I think a lot of Western guys kind of judge the whitetail hunter. And I think it's not for no reason. We all think of that fat dude that's like slopping down donuts and he's in a box blind with a rifle over a field. And it's like, you just got to wait for them to hit the field and they're dead. That happens. But that's not how we do it.
Right. Yeah. And I agree. And I mean, it's the same out here with Western guys though, too. You've got people that'll pay for a ranch and they'll literally walk the freaking elk out there on a leash essentially and say, here you go.
Yeah.
There's places like that. Money will buy just about anything when it comes to hunting.
Yep.
I was dropping off my elk. What was it? No, my mule deer this last year, and my butcher's right behind this elk farm that they harvest. Dude, he showed me warehouses, multiple of antlers that they have, because they cut them off and they show them to the potential clients of, hey, this bull grew this last year, he's going to be this next year. Like, they look like red stag antlers.
Really?
How crazy nasty they
And it'd
all
be
the
like a
junk
high
and everything.
fence ranch, you're saying? Like, I
Yeah.
got you. Okay.
Yeah. And they
Interesting.
essentially will let them out on this land and they go hunt them. To me, that's not a hunt. That's you want to go shoot an animal, right?
Yeah, you should. It's livestock.
Yeah, and this is what I tell my kids, the word game, right? What do you consider hunting? Like, when people get offended, whatever, by Western guys versus Eastern, it's like, well, what is a hunt for you? Because the mental strain of getting a good mature whitetail is just as vigorous as going out into the wherever you find your big mature elk, because I haven't found a huge one yet that I could shoot.
Yeah.
Wherever you find those, you put a ton of time in physically to get them and then pack them out. The big mature whitetails, you're maybe not putting as much effort in physically, but there's a lot of mental and unknowns that go into it, which to me almost stress me out even more.
There's a lot of unknowns.
Yeah.
There's some hidden physical in there. It might not necessarily be on that day of the hunt, but like Devin had this perspective. We came in when we did the podcast with him. He talks about doing all the stuff and all the work and labor that goes into it year round. Like, if you have, so properties aren't as big here usually. You might have a 40, a 60, a 20 acre piece. Okay, now you got to first of all, have the luck of having a deer that you want to shoot, then keeping them alive, and then having them stay within the borders of the made up borders of your 20 acre piece or 40 acre piece or 100 acre piece. So a lot of people look at that, like you were saying, the comparisons out here, public or private. Was it shot public or private? I'm so tired of hearing that, because they all come with their own skill set. Well, you have the guy that hunts 10,000 acres of public or whatever it is, a lot more than a private parcel is. And they can bump deer around until they find a deer and then get one. You can't do that on a 40 acre piece. Like, a big deer's not going to let you do that every time you go in there. So the skill set is private easier, probably. Yes. But the skill to do it consistently is its own skill, with, entry, exit, and a little more methodical and thought out and stuff like that. So they all have their challenges, but that's like something that we talk about in the Midwest quite a bit. It's like, whitetails don't like pressure. So they're cagey.
Yeah. And that's the other thing too, even with, I don't even know how much corn we had laid out. And I was like, I wasn't even that far into the woods. No, I was in North Carolina. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, on my buddy's property. He just had, but in their little block, they had, dude, on one trail camera photo, we had probably 15 does in one photo, like crammed in there. And there were more outside of the photo, right? Like,
yeah.
And so I just went in and was like, here's all the tags I have. I'll take whatever. I'm not even concerned. I just want to shoot broadheads, cull some does, and bring some meat home, kind of deal.
Yeah.
But even people, they'll flip out. Oh, that's illegal in my state. But I'm like, that's cool, dude. Like, I never said I was hunting. I said I shot a whitetail out of a saddle. I don't consider that hunting. That's bringing food into bait and shooting it. That's really, but like, from my experience, I had, cool experiences seeing how they duck, even at 30 yards, dude. My first shot, the first morning, I was sitting there. I'm like, dude, 30 yards is a chip shot. I usually start practice once my bow is sighted in. I don't even start practice before 50 yards. Like, usually I'm 60, 70. I pull up to the range and start at 60, 70, because that's when I can start seeing my left and rights, ups and downs. And so 30 yards from me, I'm like, dude, I can group, like that at 30 yards, even better. Yeah, no problem. And dude, that thing ducked my string, or I guess the arrow, so hard. And I just looked back. My buddy was up in the tree behind me, and I'm like, did I miss? And he was like, yeah. I was like, dude, that was like 30 yards. We go down, you know, clean air, and we watch the video back. That thing, I mean, it was like a burpee is how I
Yeah.
describe it.
Uh-huh.
They literally chest to the ground and then boom, they're gone. And I was like, dude, again, drew that little line where my arrow hit and watched them drop below that line in the video. I'm like, golly, these things are crazy.
Yeah, southern does are quick. Like I shot a doe in South Georgia this year in September, and they're like, man, if you can get a doe out here, how quick they are and everything, like you're doing it. So yeah, a lot of guys will aim on whitetails, will compensate for that drop a little bit, which
it's like brisket pretty much, or more, like
Yep.
below their freaking chest. Yeah.
Bottom heart, basically.
Yeah. I had another one that was 32 yards, and he did the same thing when he ducked. The arrow went in and came out the other side higher than the entrance. And I was probably 20 feet up in a tree. And the way he ducked and turned when we were cleaning him afterwards, I was like, wait, this is the exit. Why is it higher than the entrance hole? And then just watching the video back, just how hard he ducked, but then the milliseconds of the arrow going in and coming out, he ducked and turned so hard it was higher on the exit. I'm like, this is insane.
Yeah,
whitetails are a whole nother game.
They're quick. They are quick, but it's cool, man. Like I get people from out west, like I kind of get it, you know, a little bit. But I just feel like most our judgment is from the Western crowd, which is fine. It doesn't keep me up at night, for the record. Like, judge away. But
I just hope one day that I don't see it ever stopping, because there's dudes involved. But you know, like,
right,
it's just ego is really what it comes down to, because it's what do you consider a hunt, and what are you going to it for? Like, I'm not going out to whitetail camp looking for a workout or majestic views, you know, like I do when I go elk hunting in September. Get to see the changing leaves, get to hear bugles. I hike and maybe don't even see anything that day, but the view was worth it, kind of deal.
I'll tell you this, you know, like I love that you said that, because I always tell people, you know, if you've never been in like the real Midwest in the first week of November on a high pressure day where it's clear blue skies, not a cloud in sight, and the frost is on the leaves, and you're looking through the hardwoods and the leaves are blowing down, and you're sitting there and you hear a grunt and you see a real true Midwestern hammer buck come out of the ravine and walk to you and just tromping leaves, that is the number one Midwest sight you can see, in my opinion. Like next to a thunder and gobbling turkey in the spring, that is as good as it gets right there for me.
That would be like the Western guys, you know, 360 plus bull in an aspen grove.
That's right. It's 100%. That's the best comparison, in my opinion. And our buddy Devin, I keep bringing him up, he got that this year. You know, he killed a 167-inch slammer, like a giant typical, clean typical. I'm like, dude, you just beat all of us on clean typical bucks out here. Like, you hunted out here 3 years. Like, it's crazy, but that's how it can happen. So he got to experience that and he loved it. So
yeah,
it was cool.
And I will say too, I don't shake. I usually get the shakes after my shot with Western animals. And I think it has something to do with my heart rate's already up by the time I get to where the animal is, or whatever. I've had time to either calm down by the time I stalk into the animal, or my heart rate's already high enough I don't feel the jitters. But man, when those first two does walked in, and again, this totally honest, complete setup here, they were walking in. It was essentially my buddy's backyard. Like, we broke the tree line and set up a tree over corn.
Yeah.
And still listening to them coming in, knowing they weren't squirrels, which is the other thing that freaking A, dude, squirrels are a pain in the butt. But watching them walk in, and they were tiny does. They were probably, they had just lost their spots, tiny. And I still, like, I was sitting there and I'm like holding still because my buddy's in the tree. I'm like, I'm not trying to embarrass myself by shaking, but I could feel the shakes.
Yeah.
And then the tip of my arrow's doing this. And I'm like, stop. Like, I'm trying to calm down. And it's stupid, two little does, right? Nothing, not even a hammer of a buck, not even a buck. And I'm like, this is dumb. Like,
I think it's something to do. I love hearing that, by the way, but I think it's something to do, like, I don't know. I haven't thought this through, this thought, but okay. Elk is bugling, or you glass up a mule deer and you're going to go in and get close for a shot and you know where it is. You're going to do in there. So when you get to that point, you're not necessarily surprised that you were there. You might have adrenaline and you're shook up, but you're like, I knew that elk was there. I'm here because I knew it was there. Now I am. With deer hunting, they just kind of can go wherever they want. But if you map out like, man, if I can get in front of this deer and I hang a set, if I go in this early before daylight, I can slip in there and get in there and get in clean. There's a chance I could see this deer. And then when you're sitting there and it finally you see it and you're like, oh shit, he's right there. I think that's where some of the anticipation and the shakes get you, because you're like, oh man, it actually worked. My game plan, like he is right there. He could have went the other way just because he felt like it that day, and you can kind of get ahead of it. So I don't know. Maybe that's where the shakes come in for whitetails.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And I've heard people the opposite. You know, they come out and they get the shakes on big. I think it maybe it's people dependent, but I also tell people, like, again, going back to judging hunting styles, like if it gets you excited and it's legal, go do it. Go get in the woods.
Right.
Like, you know, I've shot. I got excited about killing a doe this year, a mule deer doe, because I couldn't find any bucks that got me excited, and so I was like, well, I'm not walking away with tag soup. Killed a doe, we're good to go. I was great with that. It wasn't like ecstatic, but I was like, I filled my tag. I feel confident. This is good. Some people were like, why'd you shoot a doe? I'm like, because I didn't see any bucks that got me happy. Right.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
that's really the answer.
Little buck, in my opinion. I mean, that's how it works in the whitetail world. It's like a lot of guys, which is fine, shoot whatever you want. But in the whitetail world, there's a lot of guys like, oh, itchy trigger finger, It's like, just shoot a doe then.
Right.
Like, you know, big bucks are always cooler. I don't care what anybody says, but yeah, man, it's definitely different. I love all types of hunting. You know, I've been out west. I put in for a Colorado mule deer tag. Hopefully I draw. So that'll be fun, man. I've killed 2 mule deer. So I'm wanting to get another one, hopefully a good sized one. So
yeah. No, that's
looking
awesome.
forward to it. But yeah, man, I love it all.
Oh yeah. Hunting. And again, if it's legal, it gets you excited. Go do it, guys. I might judge you if you shoot a crossbow, but no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
You're getting judged for sure. You're getting judged. Hey, I have my whitetails from last season behind me. You want me to show?
Yeah, dude, show it.
Let me brag a little bit. Is that just
of course,
the way I can just
dude? Yeah.
So here's the first one. This deer looks bigger, but he is frame wise bigger.
Wow, that's awesome.
This deer's right at 160.
That's a big deer.
And then 4 days later, I was hunting. This is my biggest buck ever.
Wow,
this one.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
So this deer went 203 and 5/8.
Ooh, man, that's a big deer. Now that brings up a good question that I want to get to, but that, you know, I wanted you to hear this. That's why I didn't say it while you had your headphones off. But guys, it is a wide angle lens. Okay, no, I'm kidding.
Hey, you know what's funny about that is, so the first one is wider and gappier, so he looks larger, and the second one's like significantly more, 40 some inches bigger in points, but his beams come in and his tines wrap. So it's funny when you see, like, if you compare them, everyone always goes, ooh, at the big 9, and they go, oh, this deer's big, but he's just got so much, But yeah, I'm like, man, if he almost touches like this on the tips, if he just like, pull his beams out, that'd be cool. Totally different deer, but anyway.
So the question of the day here is: do you prefer trashy bucks and bulls or clean typicals?
I like them both. For the reasons why you would like them both. Does that make sense? Like, yeah, I love a big, clean typical because it's just neat and they're beautiful, and you got to respect that. And anything with trash like that, they're all different. And I think it's cool, man. Especially when you look at the stats, like, oh, he's 25 points, It's like no one cares about that really, but it's fun.
Yeah.
So yeah. I like them both, man. I at this moment in time, I'm not going to pick one or the other. But you catch me on next week's episode, I might have a strong opinion for some reason.
Yeah.
Maybe I had one too many bush lights or something, and I was feeling froggy.
No, that's funny. That's funny. Yeah, the other thing too, this last year, being in a unit, so here in Utah, you can take your over-the-counter tag, at least for residents. I'm not going to speak for non-residents. I think it's the same, but don't quote me on this, guys. Go read your regulations. You can take your over-the-counter tag and go into a limited entry unit, but only hunt cows and spikes. And so I was within archery range, 50 yards and less, of big bulls every single day I was in that unit. and it was heart-wrenching not being able to shoot. I had one hang out with me at 15 yards broadside feeding, no other animals around, just me and him. I could hear him chewing his freaking cud, and he was 15 yards from me, and I couldn't shoot him. I had to watch, and I'm like, dude, and it was almost 10 minutes that he hung out with me, and I was sitting there like, man, I'm like, oh, and that's what brings me back kind of to that whitetail thing where I knew where he was, but he still surprised me when he walked out, and he literally walked to that 15 yards. He kind of looked at me. It was almost like in his mind, that rock has been there before, but it looks a little taller today. Kind of like I was in the middle of a meadow sitting with a rock at my back, and he walks out, just like comes to me, kind of looks at me, and he turns sideways and goes and starts feeding because the wind was blowing in my face. So he couldn't figure out what it was.
Probably he doesn't have a tag. I'm just going to taunt him.
I know, right? I swear they put pheromones on them. I swear they do.
On the tags?
Yeah, we can't smell it, but the bulls can. They're like, oh, okay, we're safe. That's what this means.
That's funny.
Jeez, yeah, no, multiple. I mean, it was a bugle fest walking out that night too, and it was awesome, but couldn't shoot anything. Come to find out, the cows hadn't herded up yet. They were on the other side of the canyon. But anyway, great experience. But I didn't get the jitters. And I don't know if it's because I knew he was in that area the previous 2 days, and I made a plan. It worked out perfect. Minus having the right tag. And I mean, he bugled, he grunted, like all the exciting things. And I was excited, but I wasn't shaky.
Yeah.
And it happened on other occasions as well that, in that experience.
Well, I've had it too, like with these deer, my shakes came after on a lot of them. It's like it's like game time.
Yeah.
Like you're in game mode, and then, but also it just depends on the year. It might happen where I can't pull it together on a deer, it's just, you never know how you're going to react.
You're like, oh man, this 70-pound bow feels like 150.
Yeah. But I mean, on these, I filmed them, and you can see, the first one was a little tough because he's like kind of trying to skirt me a little bit, and I'm ranging, trying to get it. So it's a little more going on. On the bigger deer, he was in the pocket the whole time, so I didn't have to worry about range. I just had to get him there and shoot him. And you could see it. You could kind of see on the video, he spins around, and I'm like watching him, and you can see the air come out of me, like, and then just kind of lose him from there. So
yeah,
it's just cool that can do that to you.
Oh yeah. No, for sure. That's awesome, man. Well,
love it.
I really hope, I don't know how we can do it, but I hope one day whoever the two heads of the West and the East are, will get together and shake hands, and we'll all respect each other, because it's definitely like, it's like comparing apples and oranges. I really can't. Like,
good people are good people, and good hunters are good hunters, and they're going to be friends. Like, we have a lot of great friends out West. I joke around about it a lot, but, here's the thing, douchebags out there and douchebags out here they're still douchebags, and you're going to have them, but good people, which I think most hunters are great people. They all find each other, and man, the amount of hunting camps and fellowship and friendships we've made from hunting is insane. So, yeah, man, it's not as bad as I think people make it out to be.
No,
but it's just a little louder. That's all.
Yeah. Yep. No, I agree. So, let's talk. So we've kind of hit on, Western Class Bowhunters, Western Class. Look at that. I'm changing the name here.
I love it.
We're gonna do a WCB squared, and it's gonna be Western Class Bowhunters. That's
great, dude. I can keep it as WCB. That's amazing.
Working Class Bowhunters. We talked about the beginnings of that, how you got into archery and everything. But I guess, now kind of what is your goal with WCB? Like, obviously you mentioned making people laugh, getting through their workday. But at the same time, like, where do you see you guys in 5 years? Like, what is kind of your goal?
Well, the goal is obviously going back, still having fun, but we got some other stuff in the works. We have a video project that's coming out this year. We're really enjoying the merch game and like the branding of it all. So we're going to keep growing that and kind of just going with the flow and staying on our feet and having fun and meeting good people and doing it. So, I don't have this like 5-year goal that I'm going to like, take over the world. It's like, I'm pretty simple. Like, I want to keep having fun, keep growing it on the trajectory that we're on and where it needs to be. And I want to keep shooting animals. And if I can keep doing that and we're still relevant and having fun, then I'm happy. So,
Good.
But
no, I like that.
That doesn't mean that
that
we don't have some big plans in the works and some. We got some stuff in the works that's going to take a little bit of time here, but yeah,
I'm not going to spill the beans on the podcast.
No, I'm pretty tired.
So no, I like that. I do. I definitely appreciate when people, you know, I've got a sign over here that there's two kind of themes for my year. This year's, you know, trim the fat and show, not tell. Right. And that's a big thing that I feel like social media has caused is a lot of telling, and then people either don't follow through with it, or, you know, they take longer and then they're apologizing for taking long, you know, the drill.
Yep.
And I love the idea of getting it done and not necessarily feeling like you have to share everything.
Well, yeah, you know, in business too, especially with the world and economy and all the bullshit. It's like we have these ideas. It could be out in a year, some of the stuff we want to work on, but it might take 3. You know, so
exactly.
Yeah, exactly. It's just having fun. That's what we're going to be doing. So.
Perfect. So I guess, okay, a couple questions here for whitetail hunters: saddle or tree stand?
I was mostly saddle last year, but I do hunt out of both. I think they're both appropriate tools for killing big deer. I'd say if you're picking one 100% over the other, you're boxing out opportunity.
You're paid. Okay.
I do hunt with both. I've hunted more.
Yeah.
Well, the last 3 big deer, which are my 3 biggest deer, I've killed out of a saddle. So, right now, gun to my head, saddle.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes sense. And you're getting into because you work with Grizzly as well. So you guys have some box blinds as well, because their box blinds are pretty sweet.
I love them. I got some big plans for some Grizzly blind setups, man. Especially I have kids, you know, so
yeah. Oh yeah.
I got some game plans for the kiddos, and we've got them out turkey hunting in them, and it's made it fun. So that's the big thing on the Grizzly blinds.
And I guess I for some reason didn't realize you had children. How many children do you have?
I have a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old. So 6-year-old daughter and 3-year-old son. So
they're getting to the age where they can go with you and show some interest. Yeah.
I might be building a straight wall cartridge rifle, because that's what we can use here.
Okay.
Getting it set up, get a loophole scope on it, get it clamped down in a tripod, and just see how she handles it. We're about that point. She's expressing interest and all that, but yeah. So yeah, I'm not big on posting my kids anymore on social, just creeps in the world. So I'm very weird about that now.
Yeah, no, I hear that. I guess a couple things for the dads out there. What are some ways, I've shared some things that I do, but what are some ways that you are able to bring kids out, even at that younger age, that you found that work?
I'm going to get judged for one of them, but I'm going to say it anyway. Number 1 is snacks, lots of snacks and fun, or like rewards. Like, hey, if we go hunting, when we get out, we'll go get ice cream. Even if it's like, we have a Casey's gas station. They will go get ice cream cones out of the little freezer, we'll go get some candy if you go hunting. Makes it fun, kind of a cool thing to do with dad. And then the other thing is I bring an iPad or my phone and screen time. Blah, blah, blah. Here, listen, do you want to make a 3-year-old sit in a blind for 5 hours? He's not going to do it.
Let's be honest. How many adults are sitting there without their phones? Because, like, I mean, there was kind of a meme that went around last year. Was the first time I saw it, but it was like, how many deer have been saved because of a screen?
A ton.
Yeah,
a ton, and that's a lot. But you know, it's like we took them turkey hunting in the blind. Here's my phone on no volume because we went out before dark, walked through the woods in the dark with them for the first time. They killed it. They did great. Here's my phone. Just watch it. When a turkey gobbles, I'll make sure you acknowledge it, hear it, get excited. And then when some birds come out, put the phone away and you can see. So they're not waiting around like, I'm bored, I want to go. To them, it's like, oh, cool. It's right there already. You know, they're not thinking about every second that went by. So yeah, screen time's not good, but also I'll sacrifice it in the long run if it gets my kids into hunting.
Screen time's okay if it's Bluey. It has to be Bluey.
I let my kids watch Hudson and Holly a lot on YouTube.
Okay.
It's like tractor farm related stuff.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
But yeah.
Have you watched any Bluey episodes with your kids?
They're not into Bluey, but dude, I've heard it's awesome.
It's like, it's one of the shows nowadays that I'm like, this, like the parenting's on point, and I feel like it's because it's Australian, and Australians are essentially an offshoot of America out in the middle Pacific.
Yeah,
They're just
the
the
Republicans. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
But no, they my kids got into it, and I was like, okay, I'll watch it just to make sure it's not something inappropriate or they're putting in some themes into it that kids shouldn't be watching. And I was like, man, like, okay, like they actually nailed these points here with the parenting and everything like that. I'm like, all
yeah.
right, cool. I'm cool with this show. It's better than
SpongeBob
what
is
most of
one.
Disney's putting out.
Right. Well, no kidding. I push SpongeBob on the kids a lot
Oh no.
because I think it's hilarious. um, but yeah, I try to
That's
do that because I can just listen to it and
yeah.
laugh. You know.
Yeah. That's my
So,
wife's ongoing joke with me. Anytime there's a holiday, she gets me some kind of SpongeBob candy. 'Cause
yeah, yeah. He's awesome. It's a good
yeah,
show.
exactly.
But
Oh
yeah, I don't
man.
know. It's that's my advice, man. A good blind, making it comfortable and making it fun. Like,
Layers, definitely, like, be willing to pack in layers for the kids, keep them warm.
yeah, I don't. And to be fair, right now I've taken them early October in the blind when it's warm, and I'm getting them out there. Like, I know we're gonna sacrifice deer, like, and I'll take them out an hour before dark, and we'll just get in there as quiet as we can. Use your deer voices, and we get in there, and they're loud, and you're kind of like, will you just be quiet? And but you just, if you see one, you see one. You got to know it's probably gonna get screwed up. That's okay.
Yeah, I was gonna. Yeah, you definitely hit on that point too. It's don't go out, don't take your kids when you're trying to kill the biggest buck in the woods.
Yeah, you're not going to
Uh,
put them in your backpack and go climb and get in a saddle and make them sit there for 5 hours in the cold. Like, it's just,
mhm.
you're not doing that. So,
Yeah.
and that's the nice thing, if my daughter wants to do it this year, there's a youth season middle October for firearm, and it's like I can set up a blind and try and get her first deer, and we'll do it quick. Like, she wants to go one day of youth season and I'm not going to push it. So, and I'm not doing the crossbow thing either. Like, it's either firearm or bow. I've decided I'm not
Oh,
bridging
so
the
so
gap.
you are actually adamant, like anti no crossbow.
For the Geyer family, it won't be a part of our deal. And
It's a good way to put it.
unless I'm
I appreciate
injured
that.
or old, but I just remember me growing up, I gun hunted. I wanted to hunt more. The option was you can bow hunt. If you bow hunt, you got to try really hard. And it gave me that satisfaction of like being able to be successful with the bow. And I think that's why I respect it so much today.
Yeah.
But how hard is it going to be if you nurse your child on this participation award bullshit when you got to nurse them back? Oh, now you can't use that anymore.
Yeah.
You know, that's a gun bow. Now here's a bow.
It's a good bow.
Yeah. And I know by saying that I'm creating.
Yeah,
tension,
it is, and
but
I think you hit it on the head though. Like, you made that choice for your family. You're not downing anyone that is using it. I do kind of joke, at least people that I somewhat know, whenever I see them with a crossbow or whatever, I'm like, oh, what's the shoulder injury?
yeah. Oh, I don't know what I can and can't say on this podcast.
Yeah, no, you go for it, man. Say whatever you want.
Oh,
We're deep enough
the doctor
now.
wrote you a script for being a pussy? Is that what it is? See, I'm kind of
there you go.
but I'm not. That would have been.
I figure
twice
people
as
that
hard
are
as
in this podcast deep enough now, we're almost an hour in. If they're listening still, they don't care.
That's fair, and that's funny, right? That's a joke.
Yeah.
That's like a perfect example of like WCB humor. But I'm not anti-crossbow. It's just not something that we're gonna do. And yeah, I'm gonna make fun of you for it, but I don't really mean it.
Yeah, and for me, I kind of stand on, it's got its place, for that older man that can't pull back a bow, or
Totally.
you genuinely are injured. Well, in my opinion, I would pick up a rifle, but that's it's there's a guy that, what was he killed he was like 90 something years old this last year and killed a buck.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, dude, that is freaking awesome. But and he still wanted the archery experience, but at the same time, I'm like, and this is where I'm like, I want less government, but at the same time, people are stupid and they abuse archery season using these gun bows, where it's not appropriate. And so it's kind of one of those things where I'm like, I wish there were more detailed rules of like, if you're incapable of pulling a bow back and incapable of handling a rifle safely, whatever, like there's got to be something out there. But
I know what you're saying.
the whole crossbow during archery season is definitely, that's a hard one for me.
Agreed. Yep.
For guys that are capable of shooting a bow, you know,
It's a tough look, dude.
Yeah,
It's a
it
tough
is.
look.
I would hate to be the one that's got to legislate crap like that, or be the DNR officer that has to deal with that. But
we don't got to worry about me, because I have no choice of any political or opportunity for any political career I can cover. So, Curt Geyer won't be voting.
I think you would be great. I think you would be great at legislating that. You can shoot if you have a prescription to be a pussy.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'd go over great.
Yeah, good luck going to your doctor and asking for that script.
Yeah,
No.
Yeah. Well, he'd probably give you something for it. I don't know what
Yeah.
Let me check your prostate while you're in here too.
Yeah,
Oh,
we sell Tampax out there in the lobby.
Yeah. Fuck.
Oh man.
I don't know.
It's funny though, because my son, even at 10, you know, whenever he's shooting bows and there's other kids around, he's like, "How much pounder are you guys pulling back?" Like, you know, he's excited to know, like, oh, this is where kind of I should be at this age, you know.
Yeah.
Cool. The last shoot we went to, he was pulling it back like it was nothing. He was like, "Dad, my arrows are going so slow. Can we turn up the bow?" I was like,
that's funny.
Yes, excellent.
I think he's going to be awesome too, because like, my daughter's little, like she's a little 6-year-old, so I know that's going to be hard for her, especially if she's into hunting, like I hope she is. And if she's not, maybe she'll find out later, or maybe she won't be into it. But right now, it seems like she's going to be into it. So we'll have to just see what we can do for bow poundage. But that might be a tough conversation to have when there's other little boys that are either shooting a compound bow or shooting a crossbow. Like, well, how come so-and-so can shoot a crossbow and he's a boy and I can't? That's going to be, admittedly, it's going to be hard. I'm not saying I won't change my mind, but right now I'm trying to start that separation.
Yeah. Right.
So I just don't want there to be a weird gray area in it.
Yeah.
I think that creates the boundary of respect for the method of hunting. So.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree with that. I'm trying to think of anything else we haven't hit on that I want to touch on. Is there any topics about, you know, WCB that you want people, especially the Western guys, to know about?
You know, I'd say I think a lot of people that do judge us come to us for like tips and tactics, and you'll get it. But I think you know, there's a lot of judgment just the way we carry ourselves, and we cuss and drink and have fun. We're tattooed and all this stuff. But you know, I think if you look into us as people, if you give us a chance, and maybe we're not your flavor, just at least look what we've done in our area of hunting. And I think you know, I think we're undeniable in what we've done as far as like who we are as hunters and what we can do as hunters. So love or hate the content, check us out. If you don't like it, that's fine. That's great. We're not for everybody, but at least give us some credit for being hunters and care about hunting and doing it for as long as we can. But also too, if you don't want to give credits, you're not keeping me up at night either. I'm still gonna do it.
Exactly.
That's really it.
Yeah,
man.
I would say think Drinking Bros podcast, but with bow hunting.
I've heard that a lot, man. I have not tuned into Drinking Bros yet, but everyone tells me I'd love them.
I don't listen to them a lot. It's funny because there's these huge podcasts out there that people are like, oh, you know, and I see them getting these huge brand deals, and I'm like, but then again, I don't drink, right? So like sitting around and drinking, you know, for me is kind of like, I mean, I don't judge people for doing it, but it's just not my thing. And so I could see why a lot of people would be interested in that, those sports, drinking. As I got older, I noticed like my Sundays used to be filled up with Steelers football. We used to watch Braves baseball all the time during Braves, you know, and if I can grab a game, like I prefer to be at the game now with my kids, or we just don't have time anymore. Like my baseball games are at the baseball field with my son. He's playing baseball, or my daughter's dance, or this. Like we're so spread out that we get to catch little clips of the game every once in a while. And that's because my son's like, I want to learn how to pitch better. Okay, well, and, you know, I'll pull up my favorite teams, and we'll watch their clips, kind of deal. But you know, I just, again, I as life goes on, you kind of find things like you can't do everything. My wife's got a really favorite phrase. I don't know if she coined it or what, but you can do anything you want, but you can't do everything.
That's right.
And that's kind of where you have to find out, you know, where your time is more important, where it's more valuable, where it's more efficiently used. And if you want to be a good dad, there's going to be things that fall by the wayside.
Totally.
You know?
Well, that's the thing too. Like with us, you know, a lot of times, you know, when we go to consumer shows, we have beers, but it's like, we drink when we're here. I look forward to this night every week when we're here. We can drink beer with the bros, you know?
Yeah.
But, you know, it's like I think people, you know, they see WCB with these nice bows and all this expensive shit. But I'm like very quick to remind people, I'm like, I don't do anything else. Like I don't go to the bar when my kids are at home and have beers, and I don't go. I mean, I'm not into sports. I appreciate it. Like if hockey's on, I'll watch it, whatever. But like, I don't go to baseball games. I don't go and to concerts. I do this, hang out with my kids, and I go hunting. You know, so there are people. I think working class, they kind of like, oh, poor. Like, no, it's not true. How many working class guys you know that have boats and $1,000 diesel truck payments? I don't have that. I have bow hunting, so that's where our focus is. But
exactly.
Yeah, dude. I don't know. I enjoyed this, man. I really appreciate you having me on and giving me some exposure to the Western audience a little bit. And yeah, try whitetail hunting if you've never done it. It's a good time.
Yeah, and there's definitely a lot of, you know, I say go down to Texas if you can afford it, shoot some hogs, get, you know, what a lot of people coin reps in the red zone. You want to be able to know how you react when there's an animal in front of you. Find some friends, people with property that maybe you pay a little bit and you go cull some deer. Maybe you're not looking to get the biggest whitetail, but go have an experience. That way it relieves having to have all the setup gear. Maybe they've already got tree stands and stuff. Go out there but view it for what it is, you know. Just like the private versus public. You know, if you go on a high fence ranch and shoot this mega giant, I'm not going to judge you if you say, look, I went to this ranch and shot this giant, but it was a great experience. I'm gonna be like, that's awesome. If you try and pose it as public land, I'm gonna be like, okay,
that's
you're a liar. Exactly. That's where I draw the line. It's like, that's not okay.
Well, we had Jimmy John on, and he came to the studio and he talked about killing deer on like high fence stuff. He was, it's a piece of livestock that could be displayed as art. I'm like, that's the best take ever.
It's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Kind of ends the argument of it. It's like, I know it's not, but it's cool. And that's where it ends for some people, and that's fine.
Exactly.
Yeah, man.
And again, what gets you excited, and is it legal? You know, don't turn into one of those IG bros that's out there grabbing all the sheds before shed season opens, or poaches, you know, because you need the likes and none of that really matters. Just if it gets excited and it's legal, go after it.
That's right.
With that being said, any last final words? It sounds ominous. Last things you want to say before we get off the podcast?
Check us out wherever you listen to podcasts, Working Class Bowhunter, workingclassbowhunter.com, or just type in WCB in social medias. We'll be there. So green antler mic logo. That's what we're known for.
Sweet. Well, I appreciate it, Curt. Thanks so much for taking time and coming on the podcast. Guys, go check it out. I will leave the link down below. I'm going to try and find the podcast that really stood out to me about the mental health. But guys, again, go and hang out with them on the podcast. Listen to it on a drive or while you're out working, while you're hiking up the mountain, get a little bit different angle on hunting. And again, if you can get out east, Midwest, do it. It's a lot of fun. It's worth it. So with that being said, again, thanks, Curt, for your time. Hope you guys have an amazing day. And like I always say, guys, get out, live your life, and love it.